name is Reagan Davis. I am a sports nutritionist. Dropped everything. I quit my job, invested $10,000 into a business course.
Dang.
And this was not on my 2024 plan at all. Boston qualified. So I'm running Boston.
I
April.
know. I wanted to talk.
There's nothing that I can't do.
Okay, well, welcome to the 20-something podcast. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for asking me.
Yeah,
I'm excited. And
I
I
am
love
too.
in-person podcasts too, because I feel like you forget you're podcasting.
Yeah.
Like we're just talking.
It's just a chat.
Yeah.
So I'll have you kind of give like everybody your like elevator pitch. You know,
Okay.
who are you? What do you do? All that jazz. And then we'll jump back to like the beginning of your 20s.
Okay.
And we'll kind of ride that
Okay.
wave.
Okay.
Yeah. So go for it.
Let's do it. All right. Just like, hey, I'm Reagan.
Yeah,
Something.
whatever
Okay.
you want to say.
Okay. I feel like elevator pitches are always so hard when
know.
people are like, tell
I
me about
know.
yourself. I'm like, okay. My name is Reagan Davis. I am, everyone always says their identity with what they do and what their job is. And for me, it was always like growing up playing sports was my identity. As far as my job, I am a sports nutritionist, and I have been doing that for the past 4.5 years. It is the best job ever. It brings me so much joy, and I wouldn't trade it for the world, honestly. Like I couldn't think of anything else that I would want to be doing.
Yeah.
I do dabble in social media a little bit and trying to get into some content creation.
Yeah.
But I turned 28 in 2 months, which is so crazy to say. So I'm kind of pushing the 20-something.
Yeah.
We're kind of getting closer to that 30 mark. But I love Jesus. I love people. I love deep, intentional conversation. I love being goofy, and I love laughing.
Amazing.
That's kind of a little elevator pitch
Yeah.
about me.
I love that you pointed that out, that people are always like identifying themselves with their job. That's been a big turning point for me in my 20s, is trying to get away from that.
Yeah.
You know, it's great if what you do is like so much rooted within you, but you're so much more than what you do in your day to day.
Yeah, it's so special to be so passionate. And I feel like when I talk about clients and talk about my job, I do light up because I love it. It's not something that I dread. Obviously, there's days that you're like, oh, I don't feel motivated to work. But it is a way that I get to pour into other people. And I find that I fill my cup through being encouraging to other people and helping them.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Is that what you originally sought out to do? Or what was did you go to college? Like, how do we get here?
So growing up, I always knew I had like a heart to serve people, or a heart to make people feel better about themselves, because I always wanted to be a cosmetologist to make people feel pretty.
Okay.
Or a teacher to be able to work with kids. So I kind of knew like that was always my intention behind things, to just make people feel better.
Yeah.
And going to college, I went to Erskine College. I played softball.
Oh, amazing.
So that kind of goes back to that identity of, hey, I'm Reagan. I play softball.
Yeah.
But went to college and I did marketing and business.
Okay.
Honestly, not really sure what I wanted to do, like communications or marketing, graphic design. I love that side of things. I feel like I could just sit on a computer and do work like that all day.
Yeah.
But in college, I had an eating disorder. So that is when I started my Instagram. I struggled with binge eating. So I just honestly wanted to be the smallest version of myself, playing a college sport and practicing 3 hours a day, and then lifting on top of that, and me over exercising. My goal was just, I want to be small. Like that's all I care about. People will love me more. My boyfriend will love me more. And it became something that drove every single action for about 1.5 years. Just hyper focusing on food. So binge eating, but like not eating anything throughout the day. And we can talk more about that.
Yeah.
But as far as that goes, in beginning of junior year is when things kind of flipped for me. It was 2018, and I was like, I'm so tired of this controlling my life, and just not like I wasn't able to live. I wouldn't go to events with friends, or I wouldn't go get a cookout milkshake with my boyfriend because it was like just this fear of gaining weight. And you can't live that way. So I started my Instagram, and I went to a school with about 800 to 900 people.
Oh,
super small.
total.
Everyone knows you. Everyone knows everything about you. And I made a new Instagram, and I was like, you know, sometimes I find that when you speak out about things that you're struggling with, it loses power over you. So that was my goal with this. I started talking about my relationship with food and binge eating, started sharing my meals of eating more throughout the day. And it honestly like kind of gained traction, and I built a community on social media of people messaging me saying that me talking about it and speaking out about it has helped them, or they struggle with it.
Yeah.
And after college, I got a job in hospice marketing.
Oh, interesting.
So I would go around to nursing homes and like play games and stuff with the residents. So I love that part of it. But I would always find myself, I can't wait to get back to Instagram so I could reply to these people or help these people or like post this workout. And that is when 2020, I guess, or 2020, I decided to get a nutrition degree or nutrition certification, personal training. Obviously, I had been doing a lot of education, and I dropped everything. I quit my job, invested $10,000 into a business course.
Dang.
And I told my parents, they were like, Reagan, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm pulling it out of my savings. Like, don't worry. And it just, I felt so much peace about it. And yeah, that's how I started my nutrition business. And it's like, when I look back on it, if my child said, I'm investing $10,000 into these people that I don't know, and the money that I don't have, I'd be like, what are you doing?
Right. Especially after getting a degree.
Yes, exactly. Like, did not go to college for that, and, you know, quitting a job, but it, I felt peace about it. And like now looking back, I definitely know it was from like the path that God had for me. So
Yeah. Amazing. So there's so many pieces of that I want to touch on.
I just threw a lot at you.
No, that's perfect. I love when people do that. It makes it a lot easier to talk about it. But so one thing that I feel like I haven't talked about a lot on this podcast yet is like the way that your body affects you in your 20s and going through something like an eating disorder. I have a very similar story. I went through the same exact thing when I was in college. That's exactly why I went into personal training and nutrition and all of that. And I feel like it's not talked about a lot how in your 20s, like that can consume all of your mind and take away from the experiences you're supposed to be having. And I know you said once you started your Instagram and started talking out about it, it helped take that power away from it. But do you remember a turning point or what the kind of thought process was to get you to making that decision and making that move and allowing yourself to start actually living instead of letting your thoughts about your body take over?
Yeah, I think it's such a mental thing because food is very simple. That's what I tell clients. I'm like, I can give you the perfect plan and it's so mindless. You just have to follow it. But it's our mindset and our beliefs about ourselves. And at the end of the day, our brain wants to be safe. Our brain wants to not have much resistance. So when you do things and you believe these thoughts about yourself, your brain is subconsciously going to follow those, like with your reticular activating system. And that's a whole nother thing. But when you believe these things about yourself or do these habits, it becomes very safe, even if it's not great for you, right? Even if it's complete self-sabotage. But one of the biggest things, and I would literally listen to like podcasts or YouTube videos every single night after I'd binge eat. I'd be like, how do I quit binge eating? And just crying in bed. And now it absolutely breaks my heart. But once I started learning about how our brain works and why I continued these bad habits, even though I didn't want to, I knew that in order to grow, I had to prove that eating more food was safe. Because right now it was the less that you can eat, that is very safe. It's comfortable. It's what your body's used to. But when I was able to challenge myself and say, okay, I've been having 2 egg whites and 1 rice cake for breakfast. Clearly what I've been doing hasn't been making me feel great, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just going to focus on breakfast this week. And I'm going to have an omelet and I'm going to have a bagel on the side because I love bagels and I really want a bagel.
Yeah.
But I was restricting it and then that was causing me to binge later. So I would have breakfast and then, I would just focus on breakfast that day and I would make it through the day and I'd be like, okay, like that was safe to eat that bagel. I'm not going to die. I'm not going to gain 10 pounds if I have a bagel. And that's kind of how you start rewiring your brain around food is you have to learn to trust yourself again and trust your body. I think when I looked at it from a bigger picture, I honestly never thought that I would have a healthy relationship with food or be where I am now.
Yeah.
When you look at things from the bigger perspective, it can be daunting almost of how am I going to get there? There's no steps that are going to take me to the other side. But when you take it day by day and just look at those disordered eating thoughts and challenge them and be uncomfortable in that, that's how you grow.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing that helped me is that one was that, but 2, I was like, okay, I want to grow my butt. Like I want to grow my glutes. And that was like one of the biggest things. So I was like, all right, we're just going to like give that food to I get my leg workouts. And like when I started focusing on performance and like getting stronger, that obviously helps with eating more food too.
It's the little things. You got to trick your brain.
And then I would like see, I'm like, okay, it's working. It's working.
It's working. It's okay.
But I think the biggest thing is like, whether it's disordered eating or even just like exercise or toxic relationships, right? Like they're not good for us, but you have to learn to be safe in your brain and in your body around it again.
Yeah. I like what you said about the bigger perspective. That's something that I tell my clients when they're spiraling. I'm like, you cannot get to tomorrow without today. Yeah. So you can't even look at that. Like if you don't take the step today, there's no chance of you getting to tomorrow. Yeah.
And we're not even, I'm not even promised next week.
Exactly. Exactly. And like, sometimes people are like, oh, that's so like negative. And well, if you spin it that way, it can be, but it's also a really great way to live in the moment and be super present, which I think is a big thing in your 20s because so much is happening right now and so many changes are being made and like you can do whatever you want to do. And it's so easy to get caught up in those things and not be present and then look back and think, oh, I don't even remember that year. And you don't, like, you're not going to get that year again, especially these years, because when else in your life are you going to be able to be this selfish with your time and yourself if, having a family down the road is something big for you or, you have bigger goals that will take up more of your time in your 30s or 40s or 50s. I feel like the 20s are the time to be really selfish with yourself.
Yeah. I feel like the past 2 years almost, I've heard that from so many people of nothing's wrong with, obviously like you're in your 30s if you're married and have kids, but how many people have told me like, you're never going to get this moment back. Like quit rushing it, quit trying to just feel like you have to follow this path because people would give anything to be in your 20s again and have a little bit more independence and freedom too. There's beauty in every single stage, obviously, but just the past few years have gone by so fast after college that I want the days to go by slow.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we were talking earlier about you living in California and then coming back here and now moving back to California. So kind of take me through that. Like what took you to California? What brought you back? Why are you moving back? Where are you at now?
This was not on my 2024 plan at all. I after college, lived at home for about a year, just at my parents, like getting my footing with my business and everything. And then I decided to move to Nashville. Okay. So lived in Nashville for a year, loved Nashville. I didn't have a great living like roommate experience there, which happens. I'm sure we all have our stories. And I was like, I'm just ready to get back to Greenville. And came back, lived in Greenville for a year. I'd been out to California the summer that I lived in Greenville because I had a friend out there and just visit. I'd never been to California.
Okay.
And I did not realize how beautiful it was. Like mountains, beaches, the weather. I feel that people in the South have this view of California, which is like what you see on the news and stuff. And it's not like that everywhere. So I came back to Greenville from my trip and I was like, oh my gosh, California is beautiful. So I have 2 friends who are travel nurses, and they had been in Texas, in Denver, Savannah, somewhere else, and they were looking for their next contract, and they're in Greenville. And I was like, y'all should see if you can get a contract in California. I want to go with you because my lease is almost up. Like I can work from anywhere. I'm like, I'll go with you for a few months. And, it happened, and they got one in Northern California, and which is completely different from Southern California. But we each drove our cars out there.
Oh my gosh.
Someone ended up taking over my lease, which was like such a God thing. Cause I prayed, I was like, God, if I am supposed to go to California, like I need someone to text me tomorrow. Cause this is the last day that I can decide. And a girl that I went to college with was like, I want your apartment. So I'm like, okay, this is kind of crazy.
That's amazing.
I was in California, in Northern California for 4 months. One of my friends, Gabby from Greenville, lives in Southern California, cute little beach town. And I visited her when I was living in Northern California. And there was bonfires on the beach, people playing volleyball. I'm like, this is so wholesome. This is amazing. So when my friends came back to South Carolina after their contract, I was like, I don't feel like I'm supposed to go back yet. So I moved to Southern California, found random people to live with, like that were my age, and rent a room from. And I stayed there for 6 months. So I ended up being in California for 9 months.
Okay.
Well, when I was in California, I haven't dated seriously in it's been like 4 or 5 years. Like I've just been single, go on dates and stuff, but just single. I love my alone time. I'm very independent. If I'm going to date someone, I need you to push me and bring value to my life too. And ended up meeting a guy out there who is a fireman.
Okay.
And we started dating in like mid-February.
Okay.
And when I was out there at the end of June, I broke down. I was like, I miss my family. Like, I feel like I'm supposed to go home. I'm from South Carolina. I can't live in California. Like, I'm an only child and was like falling in love with this guy. He's incredible. And I was like, I'm going home. And it was a complete shock of like, we knew this was maybe going to happen, but this sucks, honestly. And I cried for like a month straight. Came home. I tried to make it not work with him. And like how you get and you like start picking at things and you're like trying to argue. So he would break up with you. And I'm like, why isn't he just like letting me, like leaving me alone? And we've like, I went out there. He's come here since we've been long distance for like 4 months. And it sounds so crazy saying this, but I just like, I can't picture my life without him. And he's just like an angel. And he hasn't dated anyone in 4 or 5 years either. So it's like it's a big deal. Like I feel like he's my husband. But he can't live here because of he's a fireman. So hopefully like we'll be able to kind of split some time and stuff. But that is why I'm going back to California. And I leave a week from today. It's bittersweet, but it's just like the butterfly effect of how things happen. I feel like it was such a butterfly effect, and God has just allowed me to feel peace about things because I'm very indecisive. And I'm like, God, like, please tell me what to do. Please show me what to do. Cause I can't make decisions, especially big ones. So go next week.
How exciting. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's going to be so great for you.
But it's been such a, like in your 20s and people listening, I think a lot of my friends, especially being in the South, which there are parts of their life that I'm like, I'm jealous. Like, I can't wait to have a husband and have kids and have a house and all the things. Like, there is beauty in so much of everything. But typically in the South, I don't know if it's like this in Wisconsin, but
No.
you graduate college and a lot of it's ring by spring. You like if you're dating someone, you're engaged by your senior year.
Yeah.
And then you get married and then you have kids at 24. And that's such a blessing because it does bring so much joy. But I felt so down about that of like, what's wrong with me? Why am I single? Like I feel behind, and just saying yes to things. 2023 was my yes year. I was like, I'm saying yes to everything. Signed up for my first marathon, travel, went to Europe for a race, and it just opened the door to so many opportunities that it's okay to be different and for your life to look a little bit different than other people's.
Yeah.
Because if you're always looking at other people's life, you're going to compare.
Yeah.
And not appreciate where you're at, because I do think there is purpose and beauty in every season.
100%. Yeah. That's not like that in Wisconsin. So.
You probably came to Greenville and you're like, why is everyone married
literally
and have kids? Like, is there any single people?
Literally, I was like, okay, I think everybody's married.
Yeah.
Or in a serious relationship down here. And like, that's not it in Wisconsin
No.
at all. Like my best friend just got engaged and she's the first of us and I'm 24.
Okay.
And so none of us are engaged or have gotten married. She's the first. And everybody down here is like already married and having babies. And me and my roommates were just talking about that. And my one roommate was like, where are all the single men in Greenville? And the other was like, they're married.
Yes. I know so many amazing single girls in Greenville. And I know a few guys that are single, but I mean, again, like, I'm like, come on guys, like you're like beautiful and perfect. But yeah, it's like you just get in this habit of Greenville. As soon as you see a guy, you're like, you like look at his finger and you're
For real.
Ring.
Yeah, I have never even thought about doing that, but I've kind of picked up on it from my friends. Like, literally the other day, a guy walked by and my roommate was like, oh, he's so cute. He has a ring. I'm like, how did you already see that?
It's so bad. It's like your eyes just go.
Yeah. For real. But yeah, I mean, dating in your 20s can be a lot. But I think it comes unexpectedly. And when you're kind of just focusing on yourself and know exactly what you want, like you said, this person needs to add value to my life and kind of match where I'm at and push me. And I think that's really important instead of putting that pressure on trying to live up to the timeline and be like everybody else, because your timeline is yours. And when you're supposed to find that person, you're gonna.
Exactly. Yeah. And singleness is such a blessing too, because I mean, I could spend a whole week by myself and have the best week ever. You have to get comfortable with figuring out what you enjoy doing and find things that make you happy. Because when you get in a relationship, it's like you still want to have independence. You still want to have your hobbies and things that you do, and not have to be super codependent on your partner, because you don't want to lose those little parts of you. And the more time that you spend by yourself, you figure out what you want, what you don't want, and you just start to value yourself more, which makes it a little bit easier to create boundaries of, yes, this is it, or no, this is not it, like on to the next kind of thing. Yeah,
absolutely. I try and like remind myself anytime I feel like down about not being in a relationship, like this is such a special time. Like you don't know, you might meet somebody tomorrow or next week. Like you don't know if or how much longer you have to be single. So like enjoy that time on your own. And like you said, figure out who you are and love the time that you spend with yourself, and it'll come when it comes, but like don't take it for granted because you don't know when it's coming.
Yeah, exactly. And just the excitement of it, right? Like if you break up with someone, I've heard a lot of people, they're like, congratulations, like you get to fall in love and you haven't met your person yet. Like how exciting.
Yes.
How exciting. Like when you switch it to that narrative of, okay, I'm open to conversation, I'm open to things. It's exciting because one of the best parts of your life, like falling in love with someone, hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
So when you look at it from that perspective, like, okay, like I will wait for my person.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to rush it.
No,
so
absolutely.
It's all about just the intention, and I think the mindset behind everything.
Yeah.
Like your brain is so strong.
Mindset is everything. I had that mindset when my last relationship ended. I was like, first, how exciting that I get to figure out who I am now. You know, I've been in this relationship for so many years. I don't know who I am without this person. So how cool is it to like go find who I am? And then, like you said, if I could love that person so much and they aren't the one I'm supposed to be with, how amazing is it that like I'm going to love somebody more than that someday, and how exciting.
That's so true.
Yeah.
So, good for you.
Yeah.
It'll come.
Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about your business and starting a business. So what made you decide to like take the leap and have the belief in yourself that $10,000 was going to be worth it and that you were going to be able to do this?
Looking back at it, I am like, Reagan, what are you thinking? Honestly, I'm like, you were 22. What are you doing? And it just, looking back, I don't remember stressing about it. Like I just felt so strongly of what do I love and what do I enjoy doing? And if it's supposed to work out, like it will work out. I mean, it sounds a little delusional saying it now, but looking back, I mean, it's just like trusting that that was what God had for me. And, you know, I think the biggest thing too is like, if it doesn't work out, then I'm 22. Like I could get another degree if I wanted. I could, if I needed to be a server, I could be a server, bartender, like whatever, to make it work. But then was the time to take the chances. Now is still the time to take the chances, because I don't want to, I think my biggest fear, and even now too, it still comes up, is just getting complacent and just doing something just to do it. Yeah. And looking back and thinking, what if I would have done something else? Yeah. Or what if I, would have started that business or said yes to that, move or trip or whatever. That, I think living in fear in that way.
Yeah. So you got into nutrition and that whole aspect because of the eating disorder, right? So, and then now you're a sports nutritionist.
Yes.
So did you start out doing sports nutrition, or what made you decide to go into that versus, maybe helping people with eating disorders, like the experience that you had?
Yeah, I initially just needed a certification because I'd done a lot of education myself on things and podcasts and books. Yeah. I am so much more passionate about the mindset and the brain. Yeah. I love nutrition and learning about nutrition, but it's simple, and people make it too complicated, and all of these formulas, like unless you're working in really in-depth cases, you really just don't need to know all that, and clients don't care about that. They just want to feel good and change their life. But I love the mindset side of things, but initially just got, nutrition, personal training, just to learn to kind of cover things too, obviously. And then I worked for someone for 1 year doing nutrition coaching, and wanted us to get another certification. So I just did my sports nutrition association, and me being an athlete and like getting into hybrid racing and running, like I just knew that would be kind of who I attract as well. I love working with people that are former athletes, and kind of transitioning there and that have that competitive lifestyle and drive. And that was kind of more my speed, honestly. Yeah.
Okay. That's super cool. I relate so much to that. I think the athlete to like hybrid runner type of vibe post being like a college athlete or high school athlete is so crazy to me, because it feels like we're all doing that right now. Like we're all becoming runners. We're all doing like the high rocks or stuff like that. But that's really cool that you've been able to transition into that aspect and like kind of relating it to your experience as an athlete and a runner now, which I also want to talk about. So how did you get into running after, or maybe you said you played softball. Did you do other sports, or how did you get into running?
Played basketball and then volleyball a little bit, but like softball is my main thing. Yeah. Hated running. Yeah, hated running. When I went through my eating disorder, running was used as a punishment too, of like, I'm just running to burn calories, honestly. Yeah. And no one talks about the transition from being an athlete to okay, your 4 years is up. What?
Yeah.
It's like, who am I? Why do I work out? How do I work out just to maintain, like, what's my intention behind it? Because before it was like, you just want to be strong. You want to, you know, look good, feel good for your sport. I dabbled in CrossFit a little bit when I moved to Nashville, because I kind of like made some friends that did it there at the gym, which is so great for community. And then I started running. I did my first High Rocks March of 2023. Yeah, in Dallas. And High Rocks is very much a running sport, endurance sport. And I decided that year to train for a marathon. So November 2023. Has it really only been, oh my gosh, it's only been a year that I've like seriously been running, which is crazy. So much has happened, but I trained for the Big Bear Marathon in California. Okay. And I ended up doing a lot better than I thought. Boston qualified. So I'm running Boston in April.
I wanted to talk about that.
I'm so excited. So I did that, and then I did a few High Rockses beginning of 2024. Ended up placing for Worlds with a girl, and I did doubles, and we hit like right on the hour mark. Dang. It was the best like she had ever done. It was so fun. But I didn't go to Worlds for that because another trip came up. But I did a lot of High Rockses. I did the Orange County Marathon in California in May. Okay. I was training for a ultra marathon, a 50-mile race. Dang. And I had a long run to do one weekend. So literally the race was on a Sunday. On Saturday, I was just looking is to see if there was any races or like, you know, a 10K or 10-mile race. Cause I was like, I don't want to do my long run by myself. Yeah. So that Saturday I was like, oh my gosh, the Orange County Marathon is tomorrow. Like, this would be perfect. I'm just going to run it. I just need to get mileage in for my 50-mile race. And ended up, I'm very competitive too. So it's like, I can't do something and just chill and have fun with it. So I signed up for the marathon the day before, stuffed my face with a ton of carbs, went and got new shoes, and then ended up running that it was Boston qualifying as well. It was 3:27, which is like a 7:30 or 40 something pace. And then I was like, oh my gosh, that was so spontaneous and so fun, which was crazy. And then my last race that I did was a 50-mile race in Malibu, California. Yeah. It was a trail race. I had done trail running maybe once before. Okay. And it was the most amazing experience ever. Yeah. It was 11 and a half hours. Oh my God. Like 9,000 feet of elevation. And this sounds psycho to say this. You're crazy. I did not listen to music at all until the last 5 miles. I was out there. I would maybe ran with people for, 2 hours out of my 11 hours because the mountains of Malibu, I was like, I could fall off the side of the mountain and no one would know right now. Perfect. I was like, great. But you're just so locked in. Yeah. I smiled the whole time. I cried the last few miles, but coming off of that, I was like, I literally was saying to myself, there's nothing that I can't do. Yeah. There is nothing that I can't do. This was so fun. I could have kept going. I didn't want it to end. And just now, I couldn't imagine just sitting still or going on an 11-hour walk. I'm like, how did I run for that long? But it just gave me such a newfound confidence into trail running. It's so fun. You have to be so engaged. You have to watch where you're stepping. Yeah. So yeah, that was the best. Wow. But I kind of hit burnout after that. And I haven't ran in probably 5 weeks. Okay. Yeah, 5 or 6 weeks. So, wow. That was a lot.
Wow. No, that's incredible though, because the mindset you have to have and the mental toughness you have to get through that and to get through it, but to also enjoy it. That's so cool. And that's so empowering to hear because people look at running as I can't do this. This is something I can't do. And like, I had that narrative for myself for forever. I also played softball. I'm like, well, I can run the bases and that's all I'm ever going to run.
Yeah,
I can't run
sprints.
a mile. Yeah. But being able to watch yourself like push those boundaries and prove to yourself that you can do those things, I think running is one of the greatest ways to be able to physically see that.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to hear a little bit about like your mindset going into like your first marathon and then that 50 miler and what that kind of was like throughout the races.
Yeah, running is one of the best ways to, because you can objectively see that you're improving, and it's one thing, it forces you to stay in your lane. I mean, I could get on Instagram and I have friends that are running 6-minute miles for, you know, a half marathon kind of thing. And it's something that if I look at that and it's like, oh, I'm not there, I can ultimately feel defeated, but it forces you to stay in your own lane, which I think is one of the challenging but most beautiful things about it too. I think with my marathon, I didn't have any expectations. And just being confident going into it of I trained hard and I did my long runs, even if, you know, they were great or I stopped and got, you know, stopped for a few minutes or walked at one point, that I trained hard and I just have to be confident going into it and just knowing that on race day or the week before, like there's nothing that you can do. Like you just have to be confident that you gave it your all. But something that also encouraged me is that I don't want to get to race day and think, oh, I wish I would have actually done my run that I was supposed to do a few weeks ago. Or, so I think that encourages me too, because you don't want to get to a race and not be prepared.
Right.
So that kind of forces you to have good intentional training sessions. And just having fun. Like there's nothing that you can do the week before a race that's going to improve your fitness or make you go faster besides taking care of yourself and your recovery. So trusting the process with that. And then I think for the 50-mile race is, again, no expectations. I'd never really done trail running at all before. I was excited because there was little stop points, so I'd get to see my friends and eat. And like, I think that's one thing that helped me get through it is there was checkpoints at like mile 8, mile 16, 25, 30, whatever. That when you break it up into those sections, which kind of goes back to if I look at 50 miles and I'm like, I'm going to be running for the next almost 12 hours. It's daunting and it's scary and it's intimidating. But when you do have the checkpoints of, okay, I just have to make it 5 more miles and then I get to relax for a few minutes. And then, okay, let's make it 8 more miles. I think that kind of helps breaking it up and making it a little bit more manageable too. But again, just to have fun, because of course, like I wanted to go out there and be like, I'm going to get under this time and this time, but having fun with it, because it doesn't have to be so serious. Like I have to remind myself, it is not that serious. I am not getting paid to run. This is my scholarship isn't dependent on this. So that's kind of been a big mindset shift of like, you don't have to be the best at something to do it. You can just enjoy it. And it's okay if you just enjoy it.
Because like what an absolute privilege to be able to do that and to be able to have a body that is capable of doing that.
One thing too is whenever I did my 50-mile race, like every time I had service, I would like update my stories. So knowing that whether, I mean, you don't have to have Instagram followers to do this. You can be someone that just got into running, and if none of your friends or none of your family really exercises or runs, like you can be that inspiration for someone, even if it's a 5K race. A 5K race may seem like nothing to some people, just a regular jog, but for people that don't run, like if you see someone that you can relate to, like if you and I are friends and like we don't run and I relate to you in a lot of ways and I see you do something, I'm going to be like, I see myself in her. So I can do that too. And so if you're listening to this, like knowing that you can be that source of inspiration to other people or for your family or for your kids is such a, that's a driver too.
I love that. So we are going into 28, you said?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have your sights set out for anything in 28, or goals, or things that you're hoping for with 28, or what are you kind of thinking you want that to look like?
Yeah, I guess I still feel like I'm 20. Like when someone asks, how old are you? I'm like 22, 23.
Yeah.
But I'm not. I think this season, the past 2.5, 3 years have been, really 2 years, have been such a spontaneous, yes, have fun. I've lived in like 4 or 5 different actual places.
Yeah.
You know, there's been my consistency has been in my job, the people in my life, and my fitness. Like that has been consistent. Everything else has kind of been up in the air, which has made it so fun. But I'm excited I think this year is going to be a year of grounded, like being grounded, having all my stuff in one place, being in a relationship. It's like when you're single, there's no consistency. I mean, you can talk to one guy and then go on a date with someone else.
Yeah.
And I think I'm just ready for stability, I think, as far as the overall vision of 28. And then as far as business, I've been doing about the same systems the past 4 years with business. So looking to just like provide more value to clients and kind of spruce things up that way, and finding ways that I can help more people without it being one-on-one.
Yeah.
So social media makes it, I feel like I've been struggling with social media the past few weeks of like, what is your purpose behind social media, and just trying to get back to that, because I built my social media and Instagram on realness and vulnerability and crying, just so bad. But like crying and just being real and being open. And I think it's easy to lose that if your followers grow or you get insecure about things. That it's easy to stray from that. So I think for me, like just getting back to and continuing just to be real and vulnerable, because that's what people need. And again, I think if that's my purpose and that's my passion, then the Lord will provide opportunities and doors to open with that.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. I'm so excited for you.
Thank you.
And I don't want to surpass this. You're running the Boston Marathon at 28.
I'm so excited. In Boston.
Yeah. So how are you feeling about that? Like, what are your thoughts? Like, I can't even imagine.
I'm excited. I think it's going to be like a once in a lifetime thing. Obviously, there's 30,000 people that run it. So just even being able to like apply for it is such a blessing. The cutoff time was 7 or 6.5 minutes or 7 minutes. So even if you Boston qualified, a lot of people didn't make it. After my 50-mile race, I kind of mentioned I hit burnout, because I was loving running more than lifting. I was like, I don't want to go lift legs today. Like I want to run. And then it started to become like a chore. I think I'd had so many races lined up, and I had the Honolulu Marathon in December. I had 2 High Rockses this fall.
Dang, girl.
And I scratched all of that. It just started to feel like a job. And I was like, it feels like I'm going to college softball practice and I don't want to be there, and I just have to do it to do it. So I'm kind of taking time back to build strength. And I know I've lost fitness, which is, I mean, it's fine. It's just part of it. But I think mentally I needed this time to heal and recover and find that love for it again. So I'm going to get back into running end of October. And then start building for April 25th. And I'm going to have a running coach, which I've never had before. But I think with Boston is just having fun. Like clearly I'm not going to win. I'm not going to hit a PR. It is such a hard race that there's going to be it's just going to be an experience. So if I want to stop and take a picture or hug my family, like I'm going to do that and just make it fun.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for you.
Thank you.
I can't wait. Oh my gosh. So Boston, do you race for like a group and raise money like some other marathons, or is it just like you go because you qualify?
I'm going because I qualified. They do have charities.
Gotcha.
Like the New York, Chicago, a lot of the big races, you can raise money for a charity if you raise a certain amount, which would be so cool. They do like leave spots for influencers and charities as well. But I think it's such a just like bucket list thing that I don't want to take it for granted.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Amazing.
It'd be fun. I know.
Okay. So to kind of wrap everything up, if you had like a piece of advice or a phrase or, you know, something that you live by or want to like give to other young 20-somethings who maybe are feeling stuck or not sure what path to take or maybe like alone, you know, what would you leave them with?
Ooh, I don't know why I don't know if you could see my eyes. I feel like they were getting like watery when you're asking that. Gosh, I feel like this could go so many ways. The first thing that kind of comes to my mind is if you could have a perfect day and money didn't matter and people didn't matter, what would you spend time doing? Like, what do you find yourself thinking about and kind of that lights you up? Yeah. Whether it's helping people, whether maybe it's traveling, maybe it's there's so many options, right? So like finding kind of and figuring out what your purpose is and what your core desire is. For me with my business, my core desire is one, like personally, is I want to feel loved and I want to be needed. And my desire to be needed and to help people does go into nutrition coaching because my clients need me. Like they do. And I get that fulfillment from it. And I also get to help people, which is kind of like my heart's core. So asking and figuring that out about yourself and then finding things every day that bring you joy and that I like to call them little glimmers. Like we talked about earlier, I mean, the past for me, like 20, I can't believe I'm closer to 30 than 20, which is so wild to say, but I would give anything to go back to being 21 or 24. And I think we just rush the things of, like the next step for me is I can't wait to have a boyfriend. And then I can't wait to be married. And then I can't wait to have kids. And when you're always looking and needing that next thing, you miss those little moments of growth and joy that are in front of us every single day. So that's something that I would encourage people in is that, I mean, because I'm sure, like, I wish I could go back to high school, right? Like, don't you? Like, you have, like, no worries or anything. And the days are just going by so fast. So to find the little moments of joy and growth every day and then say yes. I think that's something that a few years I always said no to things. I'm like, oh, no, I have to go to bed early or I have to, you know, like finish my TV show or I don't want to do this or I don't feel like it. And life got more fun and more doors opened when I said yes to things. So try new things, have hobbies, and don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Because I know for me, when I would say yes to things that I didn't want to go to, when I got to the end of them, I'm like, I'm so glad that I went. Right. But just saying yes and being open to new things creates more memories and more doors to open, and it could lead to a deeper purpose and more things down the road.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. That's a great way to kind of sum it all up. So where can everybody follow you and support you at?
Yeah, so on Instagram, it's Reagan and Davis 1 is my Instagram. And I post just silly, goofy videos on TikTok, more just like lifestyle things. And then I do have a podcast as well called Made for More. So we're about to start season 3 in November.
Exciting.
So,
Okay, awesome. Well, I'll put all that in like the show notes for everybody so that they can follow you. But thank you so much for sharing all of that and coming on. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you for having me.